start doing that. So tonight is a coaching night, and we're just going to talk a little about the AAPTEL. So I would just like to start by saying, do you have any specific questions? I know Dr. Lamb went over it pretty thoroughly Tuesday evening. So is there anything in particular you wanted to just start talking about?
I have some questions about the surveys and the checklists, because as you start doing the literature review, there are some very specific things that they suggest to survey or to ask. And our school has already done teaching working conditions, and my school is part of an innovation program through the state. So we did an additional survey.
Oh. And you feel like here I have to ask them to do another survey. Yeah.
Well, and the one from the state was really long and extensive, because it was really trying to get down to the root of teacher perception about how they can participate in making big changes in our school and think outside the box with that. So that survey took about 30 minutes for teachers to complete.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, it was like forever.
Yes. Well, I'm going to share my screen, and I think I have it set up where I have the AAPTEL helpful hints over here on the left. Why can't I make that go horizontal? I have the AAPTEL helpful hints on the left, and then I have the actual template and materials on the right. I thought if we could sort of look at that side by side, that maybe that would be a little helpful. So task 1, of course, you're just going to have one, back to what Dr. Lamb said the other day, like one school profile. So this is all going to come together as one document in the very end. So your information from evidence 1 will be used with all 6 evidences unless you need to go in and make an edit to your original one. So task 1, prompt 1. So prompt 1 says that you're going to conduct a literature review with a bibliography reflecting various teacher empowerment and leadership best practices. So like Dr. Stedman said the other night, anything in yellow you are going to, you're going to write about. So building efficacy and empowerment. So when I hear, well, this is the lit review, so let's stick with that. Results-oriented professional development, recruitment, placement, and mentoring of school staff, approaches for evaluation of school staff, and teacher leadership. So that's a lit review, and each will have a minimum of 3 references. And so to remember that in the review of the literature is just that. You're not going to be telling about what happens in your school or anything like that during a review of the literature. It's just, I've read these 3 things about efficacy and empowerment among staff, and maybe I read them and sort of just put them to the side and wrote down a synopsis of myself of what I remember from them. Or while I read them, I'm putting down, I'm a thinking caps person. If you're not a thinking caps person, that's fine, but that's just the way I work. I would jot down like main ideas or whatever, and then I'd go back and see the cross similarities between the 3 different research pieces that I read, and then blend that to synthesize that together. So that's all prompt 1 is, and you've had that experience in your AAPTEL, and so I'm sure that you are all good with that and can move on. So that'll be 15 references on that piece. And then, yes, and then he says to remember to consider Whitaker, Darling-Hammond, and Marzano, and to make sure that it's in the correct APA. So that's that. And so let's just stop there and make sure we don't have any questions about the lit review. And just speak up if you do. All right, then in prompt 2, now this is where we're going to get to the checklist and survey that you were just talking about, and when you feel like you've already done a lot in your school. So it could be that you could perhaps use some of that. Let's just see as we go through. So the candidate's going to create a checklist and a survey. So that's 2 things that you're going to create based on the research to add in assessing current best practices in the school setting. So this checklist is going to be something that you are going to be walking around, and you are going to be using that checklist like in your walkthroughs, that you'll be walking around and you'll be assessing that on your own. The survey is the teacher perception of their empowerment, so that you can gauge how they feel. And so, Carlene, I think that's what you're saying, that maybe you've already done some of those kinds of surveys in your school recently, to just take a pulse on that teacher empowerment in your school and how they feel. Now, there are two different types of teacher empowerment. There's the classroom leader, which is going to be more Marzano, and then do you get involved in curriculum things and things like that? And then there's empowerment as a school leader, which is more Todd Whitaker. So do you get involved like in personnel decisions and things of that nature? So let's see, I'm gonna try to go back just a second. I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna go in. See, oh, there's Dr. Crawford. Yay, so glad to see you. So glad to see you. So I am, I don't see a mute all button.
Neither do I.
Okay, if everybody can mute themselves except for maybe Dr. Crawford and me, that might help. Oh, good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So back, I have my screen split here. So so the checklist would be like from Whitaker, or the checklist from Marzano. We want your teachers to be great leaders. So this is what your PD is about, and is making them better in the classroom. And then you want the teachers in the classroom to also be leaders in the building. So, so you're going to have a checklist and a survey. So an example of the checklist for empowerment as a school leader could like come from Todd Whitaker, like leadership for empowerment. Teacher has input on professional development offerings. They play a role in the development of the school plan. So the checklist is going to be more of what you're going to go around and do, whereas the surveys are going to be what they would fill in and give you their perception of how empowered they feel. Now, in your Blackboard, there is a link to Marzano's empowerment as a classroom teacher, and it will give you, Dr. Lamb showed that the other night, it will give you like even the percent of effect that each of these practices have. So it's important for you like to go through and see if children are identifying similarities and differences. I think had the highest effect size, because if you ask teachers, are you doing this, they're going to say yes, but you're going to want to go through and really see if you see evidence of that. The survey would determine teacher perception. You can pull questions from the teacher's working conditions survey, advanced ed, these other things to gather data. The example provided in the AAPTEL template for this survey is Whitaker's best practices for teacher empower. Remember that this includes areas outside the classroom environment. So Carlene, I believe that, in Dr. Crawford, you chime in, but I believe she was saying maybe before you came on that they have done numerous surveys already this year that perhaps assess the perception of teacher empowerment. So,
yeah, I would definitely say, folks, do not go looking to make work for yourself. First things first. There is absolutely nothing wrong with pulling those questions directly from the teacher work condition survey. You can put that in a Survey Monkey, have the teachers answer it, boom, done. Okay, so don't feel like you have to go make this stuff up. For those of you that go on to, maybe earn a doctorate, is one of the things I had to contend with. I wasn't about to go through the process of, creating a study and then go through the double work of making sure that that process is both valid and reliable, because that's the only way that your data is going to be accepted. So go ahead and look for what's already out there. Use the links that are in there. If you want to venture out from something different, go to a lot of the larger professional organizations like NASSP or NASSEP. If you're a secondary or elementary school, if you're focusing in on math, you could look at something that maybe came up from NCTM. So first things first, this is going to be enough work by itself without you going to make work. So look for what's out there. If your district is using it, you can go ahead and assume validity and reliability. And if it's not your problem. But by all means, first things first, do not go out and looking to make work.
Right, and especially if you feel like your teachers have already spent an exorbitant amount of time on these surveys this current school year, then you can probably go through there and pick out the pieces that are applicable to teacher perception of leadership in the school. And then, of course, your checklist is going to be to determine teacher leadership in the classroom. And the checklist is when you will be doing your formal observations, like your 15-minute walkthroughs, your instructional rounds, and things like that, to see if you can really observe these best practices in that school setting. So that's the survey is the perception. The checklist is what you observe. So, and you're just creating the checklist in task 1. You are not using it yet. You're just creating it. Anything about task 1? Okay, task 2. So in task 2 is when you're going to use that checklist from task 1, where you'll actually go around and collect data. You're going to use the survey.
How many bottles did you buy? Good enough.
If everybody can mute themselves except for Dr. Crawford, that'll be great.
Oh, that's that brown bag. What you get from me, Casa?
Let's see if we can figure out, Dr. Crawford, how we can mute everyone.
Yeah, I just sent her a message.
Thank you. Oh, good. Thank you. In task 2, you're going to use that checklist that you made in task 1. You're going to actually do the data collection in task 2. So then you're also going to use the survey that you created in task 1 for task 2 as well. And so you're going to analyze the results of your teacher perception of empowerment and leadership in your school, and that is from your survey. And the candidate will collect data in the school over a period of 5 days by assessing the observable practices in the school. You're encouraged to conduct informal interviews with teachers as well. Once you've collected your surveys and analyzed the results and have completed 5 days of observable practices from your checklist in your school, you are going to respond to the results narratively by addressing the 5 items in prompt 1. So these are the same 5 items that you did your literature review on in task 1. Now you're going to take so in task 1, it's just a review of the literature. It's going to have nothing to do with your school. But in task 2, you have these same 5 headings, and you're going to take the information from your 5 days of observable observations, walkthroughs on your checklist, combined with your survey results to now address these 5 items based on your school. So does your staff have strong amounts of efficacy and empowerment? And you're not going to just say, oh, I feel like there's a lot of empowerment among our staff. You're going to actually have the data for that you're going to want to share. You have the data for that from your checklist. and you have the data from that for your surveys. So you're going to want to have something that substantiates what you write in that section based on your checklist and your survey. Dr. Crawford, do you have anything to add to that?
No, just refer back to your data. Start with that, and then address what the data tells you.
Okay. And then Dr. Stedman in his helpful hints says that gaps in these areas, so gaps, that would be a gap between what you found in your school, and between what you learned about when you did your literature review, should be addressed in the narrative form using APA format and referencing your sources identified in the literature as applicable. So in prompt 1, you're going to identify the gaps from what you actually found in your school from what the literature had said. Then in prompt 2, your walkthrough data should be graphically and narratively explained. This is also the section where the candidate will provide narrative results of what the administration provides concerning what they see as strengths and areas of need and improvement for the walkthrough data they have collected. If your principal doesn't call the process walkthroughs, then address the process they can use and provide data and narrative responses for what is done. So you're going to put that in a graphic form, and you'll see that in your template. This is prompt 2 under task 2, and these are some examples of how the data can be graphically represented. So like the first thing they show is the survey, and the next thing they show is the walkthrough. So they have just gone into their Word document, they have inserted a table that is 3 columns across, and they just adjusted the sizes of the columns. Everything is left justified, as you'll see. And remember, anything in red is just like an example for you, and you're going to take that red out. But if you chose to use Marzano's 9 high yield strategies, you could just change all this red ink to black and just use that. I would say you would have something other than yes or no over there, like you would have like what percentage of time you saw that or didn't see it, or however you're going to determine what that's going to be. Or how many classes out of how many classes you saw it, or just however you would determine how to measure that. But that needs to be graphically and narratively. So right here in your example, you only have the graphic, but don't forget that you have to add the narrative to that. Dr. Crawford, anything?
Nope, you're much smarter than I am.
No,
But I
I'm
do
not.
believe we have a couple of questions from
Oh, good.
Laura. She's got she works at a charter,
Yes.
and she wants to make sure that that she can address whatever charter specialties are. So Laura, what's your question?
So we don't use like any type of walkthrough because I asked my head of school, and because we don't use NISAs either, I'm just trying to figure out what instrument that I can use that is evidence research based, but is also, objective and is not something I'm going to have to make up. If you guys have any suggestions, I did find the teacher survey, teacher working conditions survey, which we don't have to do. And they haven't done it, as far as I know, since the school's been in existence in 5 years.
Nice.
And so I'm just having to pull some questions from that to try and develop a survey. I mean, does the survey, like how long does it have to be? Are there some specific things that we need to be looking at?
No, so to start with your survey, I think there are enough questions if you wanted to just pull it right from the teacher work condition survey and using that same scale. Like I said, copy and paste them. I think there may be 6 or 7 questions. I think that is more than enough because you're going to address everything that you need here for the AAPTEL. Pull them, same scale, and give it to them. And if your school has never participated in the Teach Your Work, the TWC, then that could be a really good baseline, especially if you do it now for your
Right.
school, and then maybe administer it again, say in April or May.
Right.
You know, most teachers statewide in North Carolina will get that initial link probably December, January, I would say at the latest. So it's going to come up on us pretty quickly. So like I said, with regard to the survey, don't stress yourself out making it. It's a valid document. It's used statewide. Copy those questions, paste them, put them in a SurveyMonkey, and keep it moving. With regard to the classroom observations, you can do much the same thing. If I'm not mistaken, last quarter, myself, Dr. Hamilton, and Dr. Shepard posted different examples of walkthrough documents that we use. So you can start there, or like I said, go right to the link. And I think Dr. Shepard Dr. Hamilton has got one up right now.
Right, and I printed that one off today, and then I looked at a few of the other ones that Dr. Hamilton had put up there, the NHCS walkthrough tool.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
So any of
pull
those would be acceptable?
Yeah,
Okay.
pull them
And-
and again, keep it moving.
Yeah, and then some of those other ones were like specific to certain programs and things, so that may
Right.
not be applicable for you.
No, because we don't use foundations, although I'm certified in foundations, Wilson and Orton Gillingham, but we don't use it at our school.
Mhm.
So
Sure.
Sorry, I went into APTEL instead of APTEL. But
That's okay.
yes, but so that one I just had pulled up was the instructional rounds.
right.
This one, we did this artists and
Right.
teachers, a Mike Rutherford tool that you would probably sort of have to have some, but you wouldn't necessarily, I mean, there are good things in there that you could even pull out, just like clear learning goals. How was it evident that it was clear? Was there congruency? So did the activities match the goals? Did things scaffold and build on each other? That's task analysis. Was everybody actively engaged with overt responses? Did the teachers provide corrections while the children were working so they didn't continue to practice mistakes? So those are just some things. And if you even could, if you wanted to put some of those things in Google,
Right.
like a Google survey or spreadsheet or whatever, then that would put that in, that will tally the results for you.
Right. And I have been taking those questions from the teacher working survey, and I'm making a Google form that I can send out to everyone in the school. And a lot of our teachers have worked in traditional PSUs before, so they're familiar with it, but we don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the differences between a charter and a traditional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, but I agree with Dr. Crawford. Just take some of those, especially teacher leadership questions out of
Right.
the working condition survey, put it in a Google form.
Yeah, I was looking at the different areas on task 1, prompt 1, like the efficacy and empowerment, professional development, mentoring, and I was looking for specific questions that addressed those specific things.
Mm-hmm.
And in the teacher working condition survey, they address just about all those three areas.
Yeah.
Just pull them.
Yeah, that thing is long.
It is.
It really is.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Laura. That's a great question. So in task 2, everything that you have done in task 1 and task 2, so you've done your research, you've done your checklist, you've done your surveys, you've analyzed those, you've done a gap analysis of what did the research say and what are we really having in our school. And you've done all that so that you can do task 3. So task 3, now you're going to go back to your PLC. And you're going to develop a teacher empowerment leadership growth plan. You'll lead your team in developing an empowerment plan to grow leadership opportunities for the teachers in your school. You probably want to go ahead and present that to your school administration and to your school improvement team. So just ask for permission for the team to be present there with you. And your presentation, when you present this plan for the empowerment and growth, must include a report of best practices. So let's just say that you used Marzano's high yield instructional strategies. So you would give a report on those high yield instructional strategies. You would have a visual checklist, a gap analysis. So what did the research say and what do we have? And then you're going to have your growth plan. Make to record your presentation, which will serve as an artifact for your competency folio as well. So here are the 10 areas identified for your growth plan here in task 3. There are 10 areas right there that you need to have in your growth plan. And Dr. Stedman talked about those the other night. And so they are there for you. And then the example of how the growth plan could be graphically summarized after your narrative. So you'll have a narrative, and then you're going to put your growth plan. Now you already have a chart like this in your AAPTEL. So this is going to be the very same kind of thing. It's like this action plan that you're going to be creating for task 3. And you need to have this analytical narrative of all 10 of these in there. So first of all, you're going to do a presentation to your school administration and your school improvement team. And then you're going to have 10 areas identified for your growth plan. And then you will put that in this chart right here, just like you had in your AAPTEL. And then your AAPTEL only has 4 tasks, not 5 like your AAPTEL. And then your last part of task 4 is simply finishing the 9 of your 21 competencies that you did not complete in the AAPTEL. And Dr. Lamb did comment that some people had done technology twice. So if you did technology twice, you'll have to go back and do 10 competencies so that all 21 of your competencies are addressed at the end of this quarter. Dr. Crawford?
Yeah, I was trying to reach out to Ashanti. Yeah, so no, you're making sure, so now making sure that you have enough of the all of the competency address is really going to help you as you come up with the final folio. If you start working on it now, you won't have to scramble later on this spring when you know, everybody is exhausted. So you want to make sure that you go ahead and do that now. It'll just make life a lot easier for you.
It will. And I hope you all have gotten in and started working on your folio, your competency folio. If for some reason you haven't, you do need to go in and get that done. Please don't wait until the last minute. That just makes life hard on everybody. And it's hard to go back and pull all that up. But remember that once you get in there and you do this, you're not going to delete any of your instructions. Your instructions will stay. And then you're going to label each entry. So this is an example that Dr. Lamb had permission to share for an example. And so like this one calls for an evidence from the AAPTEL. So you're going to label it Fall 2019 AAPTEL. You're going to have a brief narrative for your AAPTEL, and then you're going to have to go in and upload an artifact that needs to be in a Word document. So this AAPTEL artifact upload matches this description right here. So Fall 2019 AAPTEL. And then down here, you're going to put your AAPTEL Communication Fall 2019. And then that would be done. And then if whatever you upload also meets the digital learning competency that has to be satisfied, go ahead and highlight that. So this one in this example says Spring 2018 Open-Ended Digital Learning, Spring 2019 SciOp Digital Learning. And then that way when you label each one, then you can go back easily and check off, oh, I've done my AAPTEL, I've done my Open-Ended, I've done my SciOp. Now see, you're not gonna put an AAPTEL in communication because it doesn't ask for the AAPTEL here. So you wouldn't use that in communication. But make sure that each thing and that each of your attachments matches your narrative, and that you also have that dated and identified so that your coach, your clinical coach too, can go in and make sure and make that match and make sure that what you have going on there matches and does in fact meet that competency.
And you can use multiple artifacts across multiple domains, so that's acceptable. So you may use like a picture of you leading a POC over 2 or 3 of those, and that's okay.
Right. And then you also upload your internship log, and at the bottom of all those lists is their internship log. So you'll upload your signed internship log there, each of your 3 semesters, and your administrator will sign that for you. See, what kind of questions do we have, Dr.?
I'm looking at where they actually find the portfolio.
To create your competency folio, is that the question?
Yes.
What does it say? Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's see. In your, let's see if I can find this in Blackboard. Right here in your Blackboard, when you go to your main Blackboard page, it'll say My Grades, and then it'll say Mail's Handbook and Competency Folio Resources. So if you go right there, and then you're gonna come, make sure this is where it's gonna be. Well, let's see, Dr. Crawford, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head because it's been a few weeks now since we have.
Yeah.
Anybody remember?
I was
competency
folio. Go right there to the competency folio.
Right, you think this one?
Yeah, I think so. And if not, we can do what we always do. We'll just ask Danny and get back to him.
Correct. Okay, let's see. Come on.
Because they can go in and change the little front of the screen, or the screenshot or whatever have you.
I know we had emailed those directions earlier. Dr. Lamb has a wonderful video about how to do that. Oh, here we go. No, those are just the competencies. That's not how to create the
All right, tell you what, we'll find those specific directions in video, and we'll make sure it gets out to all 3 classes.
We sure will. We will find those directions.
Dr. Hamilton?
Yes.
When you go into TaskStream, if you look at the top, it says Folio and Competencies. When you click on that, a little box will show up and it says Create One, so that you can create one. Does that make sense?
Bless you, Laura. Yes, I know I have these directions somewhere, but I just don't know where they are right now. Recording yourself on Zoom, sort of like being on TV, you start getting really nervous. So where did you say to go, Laura? It's not going to work for me.
I don't see it on your share screen, but on ours, up in the left corner, not in the corner, but to the right of it.
Over here.
No, see where it says TaskStream Limited on yours?
Yes.
Just past that is there's several things at the top. Let me look at mine. So you have folio and web pages, lessons and units, standards, communication. When you click on that folio web pages, a little box will open up, and then you put, like, I put my name in mine, and then I clicked create one, and then I got to pick a picture.
Okay, good. Oh, that's right. That's correct. You do that. I just can't think about where I might have that email or anything else right now. But yes, you go in and create a folio and web page, a folio, a competency folio. And creating your competency folios in TaskStream. Here you go. So Dr. Lamb has a 4-minute video. You log into TaskStream, your DRF should show up. Do not go into your DRF competencies, nor your internship logs go into that. So then here we go, Laura, I have a picture right here. Folios and web pages, right? See that? Right there. So name your new, yes, thank you. Name your new folio in the space provided, like whoever's folio. Right here where it says name folio web page, you're going to type your name in, and you're going to say create new, and then you're going to select your template, and you're going to choose a custom template, and then you're going to choose, see the little dot right here, you're going to say custom template designed by your learning community. Then you're going to say continue right there. And then in the drop-down box next to select custom template, you will select competencies for 21st century leaders, which will be right here that you can't really see on there. And you're going to say continue, then select your theme and apply. So here is a 4-minute video from Dr. Lamb. It's on YouTube, actually. You can probably even search it there. If anyone wants to, does anyone have any other questions about the AAPTEL? Okay, so if we're good with the AAPTEL, I don't mind hanging on and watching this 4-minute video for those of you who want to hang and watch this 4-minute video, if anybody wants to.
Hit play.
Okay, well, I will.
And can you send me that?
I most certainly will, yes.
I want to post it tonight before I log off.
Yes, I'll send it to you. I'm trying to hit play.
Okay, hold just a minute. Hey, Dr. Hamilton.
Well, Dr. Stedman, we're so glad you're here.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to, students were saying that they couldn't get into both sessions, but you've got 17
We've got a bunch of folks.
Yeah, you've had a bunch of folks, but you know, I don't know, students, if you would let some of them know that they have to copy and paste it into the, you know, into the browser, but you know that, so just let them know that, you know, that we do have a lot of students on. I've met with students on my end as well. I just wanted to make sure that there was not a problem.
We recorded, so we'll send that out as well.
Okay, thank y'all so much. I'm going to leave out. I got somebody on this end.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back and see if I can get this back to where I was. Oh. I just want to make sure you all can hear the volume. Can you hear the volume? Can you hear him talking? Can you hear Dr. Lamb talking?
I can't, no.
I'm going to press play again. Can you hear him now?
Nope, just you.
I don't know why that does that. I can't ever show a video and it play. I don't know why not. Right, well, I'll tell you what, we will just send this link out tonight with the link to this video recording, and then you'll be able to click on that link and watch it yourself if you need to. And that will probably just be the simplest way to do that. So what do you think? Do you think that's good, Dr. Crawford?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you send it to me. I'll post it on Monday night.
I will do. Will do. Will do. All right. Well, if that's it, then we are so thankful that you all joined us tonight. Thank you again for choosing Gardner Webb and for
Have a great fall break.
Yes, next week. Yes, 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 yes. So thank you all so much. It was so nice seeing you all. Congratulations on all your hard work and everything you've done. You've accomplished so much this semester.
Yeah.
Dr. Crawford, thank you so much for being here.
Anytime, guys. You all have a good night. Have a great fall break, and we'll look to get back to swing of things week after next.
Yes, thank you. Good night.
Good night.